Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is a legacy sequel to the original Tim Burton classic Beetlejuice. I mean, obviously, I don't have to tell you how great the original Beetlejuice is. It's actually a movie that I think holds up very well. There's a lot of those kinds of movies that came out in the late 80s, early 90s that people very much the millennial age or a little bit older hold in really high regard that kind of don't hold up under any scrutiny, but I think Beetlejuice is definitely one that does. I think that its dark comedy and playful nature really work. I think Michael Keaton is hilarious in it. I think Catherine O'Hara is so funny in it. I think Winona Ryder's performance is iconic. It's just as a movie that is everything that people say it is. So when I heard way back in, honestly, it might have been 2018, 2019, maybe earlier, that they were doing a Beetlejuice 2, I didn't know how to feel, especially because my relationship with Tim Burton as a director has kind of shifted multiple times throughout the past 5 to 6 years since this was announced, and his work obviously has evolved into kind of mediocrity over the past decade, maybe even 2 decades, you could argue. So when it was finally fully announced and we got the trailer and we saw who was in it, I felt kind of optimistic and kind of not. I felt like, there was a world where this movie could work. You had Tim Burton returning, you had a lot of people who worked on the original returning, a lot of the original cast who are still alive and not, Jeffrey Jones, coming back. So, there was a lot of signs pointing to it being at least okay, and there was also a lot of signs to it being a complete failure. So I really didn't know how to feel when I went into the movie theater on Thursday night and sat down to watch this movie. And I kind of feel nothing after watching it. Yeah. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is not a bad movie. It is certainly has the same spirit as the original. It certainly has the same energy. It certainly has the same kind of vibes as the first Beetlejuice, but I don't think it ever reaches that level because of a couple of reasons. Mainly, I think where this movie fails is in tone, in frequency of jokes, and Jenna Ortega. So I think in tone, it's a bit too flat. I think this movie was kind of going for more of a bunch of assembled bits that are thrown together in kind of a loose plot, which works some of the time, and I'll get to those times, but I don't know, I think that it's kind of in love with itself a little bit, and is a little too self-referential and a little too on the nose in places, a little not sharp like the original was. And I wasn't expecting, the best comedy ever to make this, make me laugh hundreds of times, but I was expecting, it to be fun and memorable at least, and I don't think this movie is anything, I don't think, it's really anything but memorable. I think this movie is incredibly forgettable, and yeah, I don't know, I just felt like there was a lack of energy to the movie. The consistency of jokes is what really kind of kills this movie at the kneecaps, because there are a bunch of them and they're constantly being thrown at you, but it feels like they're kind of throwing them at the wall and seeing what sticks. Whereas the first one was, very zany and all over the place, but I felt like the jokes not necessarily had structure, but, they were building, obviously that's kind of like the first rule of comedy, is you have to build the jokes and build up to your best ones, and I think this movie kind of didn't really do that. There were some pretty good ones towards the beginning, some really bad ones in the middle, and then some really good ones towards the end. So, that's obviously subjective, but I don't know, I found this movie to be unevenly funny in a lot of places, and I think the writing could have been cleaned up a little bit more. Speaking of cleaning up the writing, I think this movie definitely needed a couple of rewrites. I think its pace really makes this kind of lackluster. It moves at a snail's pace at times. I think this movie is a touch too long. I think it spends too much time in certain subplots. It throws 1,000 subplots at you at once, and not a lot of them stick as a result. It feels very scatterbrained. And my take that is probably going to get me the most ire in the comments is my take on Jenna Ortega. I think she is a charisma vacuum. I think that she doesn't have any talent. I think that she is, I don't want to go as far as saying as like a culture vulture, because I think that's kind of, you know, not the right word to use, but she is kind of, you know, leeching onto like this goth, you know, faux goth, like alt girl aesthetic, when one, that's never who she was, and two, she's not pulling it off convincingly at all. Because I don't really care about celebrity personalities or personas as long as they're doing them right and as long as it's believable. With Jenna Ortega, it is so not believable. It is so half-assed, and people are just eating it up because, you know, she's putting on the costume, she's doing the, you know, the voices, she's making the faces, and it seems like, why are we applauding such low effort pandering when that's clearly what she's doing in everything she's in. Outside of like X, I have never seen her give a performance that was that convincing. I've never seen her give a passionate performance. I've never seen her have any sort of acting chops. So when everybody praises her, I don't understand. And there are certain celebrities that I don't like, that I get it. People like Timothy Chalamet, people like Olivia Rodrigo, even, what's her name, Renee Rapp. As much as I don't enjoy a lot of their content, I understand the appeal to all of those people. You know, I get why they have such a huge fan base. I understand why, you know, they've reached this cult level of fame. With Jenna Ortega, she just seems dime a dozen. She seems like anybody could fit into her shoes and do the same thing that she's doing, but way better. So yeah, I felt nothing from her performance. If anything, I was just waiting for her to get off the screen. This movie wasn't all bad, though. I feel like I am kind of harping on it a bit too much. Mainly all of the returning cast members, like outside of Winona Ryder, who is phoning it in big time. I thought they were all great. I think that Michael Keaton was fantastic. He, again, just brings that same energy and was funny in creative ways, in different ways than he was funny in the other one. This Beetlejuice feels more seasoned, I guess. He feels, you know, more on top of his game, even more so than he did in the first one. And while I don't think it's better, you know, portrayal of his performance in the first one, I think it's a great extension to it, and it's a great addition to that movie. I think Catherine O'Hara is one of the best comedic actresses we've ever had. She is consistently hilarious in everything she's in, and she brings that once again in this movie. For even if it is more of like a limited role, I would say, I still think she is absolutely crushing everything she's given. The additions of people like Willem Dafoe are fun. Danny DeVito is in this movie for a little bit, and he was fun. You know, the different kinds of cameos, they're all fun, and I liked them. I actually think we do get a lot of really good Beetlejuice bits in this movie. I think that the kind of atmosphere was well done enough. Yeah, like, to me, they got all the parts right, but they didn't fit them together in the correct way, if that makes any sense. This movie felt kind of stuck in a middle gear and couldn't go either way. It couldn't reverse and kind of, you know, recenter itself, but it also couldn't push forward. So it ended up being kind of a frustrating experience. I understand people are going to have a lot of fun with this movie. I understand that this is, you know, going to be a lot of people's jam, and I think that's cool. I think that, you know, obviously people are going to like this movie, and I think that's totally okay. I don't hate it. I don't think it's like the worst thing to have come out this year, but I also didn't find anything that I really latched on to here. I didn't personally think that it was anything too special. With that being said, you know, it's a fine movie, and it's gonna get a strong 2.5 out of 5 to a light 3, closer to kind of like a strong 2.5 out of 5, just for personal reasons, but more quality, I would say it's like a light 3 and 3, yeah. So that is my review for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Did you see this movie? What did you think of it? Please like and subscribe. Obviously, that helps this channel out a lot. I've been seeing an uptick in subscribers, which is really nice. I've been a little bit more busy because I've started working more, and obviously the semester is starting, so, you know, I'm still going to stay on top of this. We're getting a lot of movies in September, and I'm going to be trying to see most of the new releases. I'm about to watch Rebel Ridge on Netflix, and then I'm going to see The Front Room on Tuesday, and we're going to be doing another roundup review pretty soon. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.